A couple of things that we're looking forward in the new year. In January, the Florida team will all be going. We're all going to Atlanta to be with the Carter Center. They do that once a year. It's really a lot of fun. We all come together. We talk about where things are going. We give a report out on the states and some of the stuff that's happening. And what's been really interesting this year in Florida, we've had some I think really good developments. Now I know that Lisa and Jennifer in the I would say the more populated areas have a pretty good group of folks they're working with. And I tried to work hard to try to develop some North Florida, Central North Florida North. And I'm really pleased with the team that I've got working there now. We have a real good team that's part, we call it our 850 group because that's the area code. And we had a really good meeting there yesterday talking about some things. And what's really interesting
It's
is we immediately
important.
got involved.
Pay him marketing. You should.
Yeah, just make sure you put yourself on mute. By the way, Lorianne, just make sure everybody's muted so that naturally and then we can take them off if they raise their hand. But there's been a lot of good development this year, and I can tell you that as we finish out this year, we've had a really good year. I thought our lunch and learns were well. We tried to bring in some pretty intellectual folks that were actually talking with us, substantive. And I think we were able to accomplish a lot of that. But this is going to be your opportunity to talk to us about that, about what we did right, what you saw we did right. And then the we is not just the three of us, the we is we. What did we do right? And then what are some things that have we built a better sense of community from this? And is there some? And then the next one is okay. So let's say we're here. Where can we go? Where's sort of the next thing? And I want you to break out a little bit and talk about that. And then we're going to talk about, we know what 26 is going to bring, right? It's going to be another big political year. It's going to be a lot of challenging things. What are some of the things that we need to be forward thinking to step in? Not just things you'd like to hear, but things we need to make sure we're stepping in and instructing and developing. And then I'm always say the last one. How do I turn this into well beyond the Sunshine 100? How do we have 500 people on this calls? Okay, it might be a little difficult to manage, but we like that. So with all of that said, again, thank you guys for coming in. The faces I see on this, you guys are faithful, and I just can't tell you how much we appreciate you. And uh, it goes to speak that in all these challenging times, we still have people that care about bringing communities together, and so I really appreciate that. With that said, let me go to Jennifer. I'm glad to see you're on. How, did you get done with your other Zoom call? We said 'tis the season to have Zooms.
Thank
Uh,
you.
how'd
It's
you
so
do?
good to see everyone.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for bearing with me and for letting me come in early. And are we about ready? I heard your excellent introduction about why we're gathered here today.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that's it. And Lisa, anything you need to say to the group as we're getting started? You got to come off of mute, Lisa. Sorry about that.
That was a test from the emergency broadcast system. I just want to say I hope it's appropriate for me to say, but I don't know for those of you who don't know that Jennifer has registered and is going to be running for a council person of the Gulf Coast. Wait,
Port.
Gulfport. I'm sorry. But well, Gulf will expand your territory. So I think that's
Right.
important to say. So if she's a little busier than usual, she might have some things going on, but we're all here to support her. So I wanted to
And
congratulate
praying for
acknowledge
her, and
that.
praying for her, lifting it up. I'm going to help her with some mental health counseling because she's going to need it. But
Well, we
no,
started today with meditation, so yes.
We did. So it's already going to be a great day.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
We said
centered.
26 is going to be fun. All
Yes.
right, let me do this before we get started. Anybody, all you got to do is raise your hand if you do. I think we've got everybody somewhat muted, so you don't have to worry about whether you muted yourself or not. Anybody got anything they'd like to start off with? Any comments for the good of the order? And then we're going to break it and go into our conversation. Anybody?
I would
That's
love
it.
to say something while folks are unmuting themselves.
Yeah.
Um, it is, oh, Claudio, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you?
No, no, you go right ahead. I'll go after you.
Okay, perfect. we do listen and we try and integrate what you share during these sessions into our programming. So that's why we had a meditation meeting this morning. And that is why we expanded the when we have content heavy webinars, why we stay on an additional 30 minutes to let folks process the information and talk and self-organize around it. It's why we tried out in-person meetings. And so we really do value, you are a valuable member of this network, and we are looking forward to this conversation. Go ahead, Claudio.
Claudio.
Miss,
Oh, yes. Well, this is probably the last time we speak until next year. And I wanted to really look back, thank God for bringing people together. That was his main wish and desire, is that we would love one another. As the Father loved him, he loved us that way. And then he said, that's not all I want you to know. I want you to go out and love one another like that. And this is a great organization and just a lot of people that are trying to love one another with all the differences. So this is just a Merry Christmas and Hanukkah. And to us, it's the greatest gift that we're celebrating. So it's really a wonderful, wonderful time.
Thank you, Claudio. And we'll probably get to say some of that as we close out today. But just again, thank you. And again, I hate to sound too sappy, but we have developed a sense of community, haven't we? I mean, and I think that that's been the part that I've really enjoyed. I was actually speaking on Monday to a group of faith leaders here in Ocala, and I was telling them about this. I was telling them about the work that we do and that we bring people together that really don't always agree philosophically or even politically. But that doesn't mean that we can't like each other and start actually caring for it. And these kind of conversations allow for this. You're not going to get that on television. You're not going to get that even through the internet. But as Claudia says, the opportunity to demonstrate concern for one another and then slash that concern demonstrates love for one another. And I think that there's a real opportunity here. And we thank you guys. Thank you for the spheres of influence that you have. And we look forward to expanding that. All right, let's get started. If you don't mind, we're going to break it out in rooms. I always freaks me out when we do this because I don't know how it comes back in and all that, but just go with the flow as we do this. The first question, whatever room you go into, the first question that I would like for you guys to talk about, and I need you to be kind of just thoughtful about some of the things we've done here, some of the things we've done ex parte from this, other things you've done, some things that we've accomplished from, I guess, January of this year. I look back at some things. I remember back in April, we were on a call like this, and we just heard about the shooting at Florida State University, and we stopped and as a community began to pray for them and have a conversation about ways to even address that. And we appreciate it because the 850 group kind of came out of that because of that. So let's look at things that maybe we've done, some of the trainings and so forth, and some things that you see that this community we're developing here has done right. We'll start with that. And we'll go into saying, okay, some things maybe we didn't do right and some things we can do better, opportunities, I'd use it that way. So let's talk about the good things. So as we break out into room, here's all I'd ask you to do. I know it's just the last person who gets on gets appointed as the chair or whatever. You get the right chair, and then we'll come back and we'll just talk about it. All right. So let's I think we'll take about 5 minutes. You think 5 minutes? Don't dominate the one conversation, but take 5 minutes to just discuss, and let's let you have an internal conversation about how we did this year and some things that we did right. All right. Ready to go? All right. Hey, everyone. I hope you had a robust conversation. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to start. And they actually took a parliamentary vote, and I had to be the one to speak. So I can't reject it. The couple of the big areas that we talked about, and again, it was a lot of credit to the South Florida. I happen to have a fairly strong South Florida team in ours. Was the fact that it was proactively engaged in face-to-face conversations, as in responding in some relation, but having those relationships way out in advance and Lisa, they all thanked you for coordinating all of that. But that those relationships were out there so that we knew immediately who to call first and have those conversations. And so that was a good development this year that came out of it. By the way, guys, that probably is the number one thing we want to happen right now is wanting to develop those things. And then the second one was the utilization of the word proactive, that we were proactive in building relationships so that we're not just waiting to be reactive. We're actually going out and having conversations ahead of time and inviting people to be engaged in this process. And so I thought that was great feedback. And I guess the last thing we talked about is even a sense of community. I don't know how you guys are all, but we all are going through some transitions. Nathan mentioned that he's going through sort of a career transition type of thing, and how to take this information and start moving that into the new sphere of influence he has. I dig it, man. That's right where I am. I'm retiring this year from my role at the coalition, and I'm looking forward to being new ways of engaging. So that's what came out of our room. I'm pretty confident that because of that, we didn't get into talking about whether we like this person hosting it or that type of thing. Although Dr. Martinez did come up again in the emotional taking care of ourselves, always came up again. So that's a report out from our group. Who's Jen? You next?
Sure. Mark, do you want to report out? Or Bonnie? Or Steve?
Okay. Well, one thing I brought up, and I'll let Bonnie finish off if you like. In light of the legislative session coming up in Tallahassee, both Kurt and Jennifer and a few others with deep background there, Lisa as well. I think not only because of Pinellas County's talent up there, which my locality has, but also because of statewide dynamics that affect every pocketbook on here. Insurance reform, hurricane recovery dynamics, parental rights. I think it'd be good to hear consistently throughout the year, but particularly in legislative times or soon after the session wraps up, hear from a couple of disparate points of view from our legislative leaders from around the state. Good forum for that, I think, right here.
Bonnie,
We didn't. I'll just say this. Yes, and that's
Bonnie,
going
would you like to add to that?
I was just going to say that's going to probably be the next question we ask is what are some of the things we do? But I can tell you we try to do some of that with our. Remember, we brought the folks on from the supervisor of elections offices and some of the things. So I do agree that we're going to be able. The role we should be able to have is better relationships with some of these leaders and bring them on to be able to talk about issues that have happened like that. Good suggestion. Bonnie, we need to take you off of mute, Bonnie.
I think that can be important because we have, from my standpoint, part of Sun 100 is to help to bring us together to get some understanding of quote unquote the other side. And I don't get a lot of that personally, and I don't know, maybe other people do, but I would like to hear from both sides because I have my opinions about what I think should happen or how things should be. And I don't necessarily understand why someone doesn't agree with that. And I think maybe that discussion would help meet some of what I see as a goal of Sun 100 is to try to bring us together and increase our mutual understanding of each other's viewpoints.
Thanks, Bonnie. What our discussion centered on is the things that building on what we do well. Hey, Nathan. So the fact that we bring disparate people together and that this is one of the few spaces where you can have, like left wing and right wing individuals and everyone in between, where you can have people who are just who have perspectives that are very different from one another. And then the other thing was that the consistency, I think Joe brought up was he liked the consistency of meeting on a regular basis.
Jennifer, I want to say one thing. She and we were both surprised. We're political science backgrounds. And we brought the guy on from University of Florida that talked about constitutional amendments. And I thought he was going to be like, yeah, we ought to do them all the time.
Me too. Me
That's where I
too.
thought he was going to go. And I'm going, all right, I'm going to argue with you. And he came in and gave us a very measured kind of both sides, strengths
It's
and
measured because
weaknesses.
you agreed with him.
No, actually, I didn't necessarily. I mean, I was like, well, okay.
No,
I
it's
mean,
true. It's true. No, he said some things that I really was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense from my more liberal, more progressive stance, and then from Kurt's more conservative stance, he hit a lot of like really good points. It was great though, and I really I appreciate that. I appreciate moments that make me rethink what I think I know.
and
And
what
that
that does, it gives you you're getting a high level briefings. You're
Mm.
getting really thoughtful people from a very educated perspective, so that when you start having conversations, you say, wait a second, I've heard this side of it, and I think that's really strong. All right, I didn't mean to keep talking. Uh, Anybody else in that group?
The other thing that Steve mentioned about what he liked was the breakout sessions to have time to talk. And so his suggestion built on that for moving forward into the next year.
Very good.
So yeah, it seems like so that's what our group it really did. We did a good job of building on what we currently do in terms of where we want to see it expand next year.
And Sharon Joy, do you want to share on our group?
Sure, sure. Lisa gave us a great example, I think, of what each of us can do, which is to show up and plant our feet firmly and do our best to say and practice what we've been experiencing of openness, listening, sharing in a couple of situations in her area. And some of the local city governments are having some challenges. And because
Imagine
of
that.
her behavior and her words, they approached her to help out. So I thought that was really neat. The other thing that struck me, besides our breakout as of today, is the power of the relationships locally that I was hearing and have heard. And then finally, Lisa closed with wishing we could have a yearly conference. And now I'm going to add something that's not in the format. Nathan, I just read about you in today's paper. And that brings up a question. Like we said, supporting Jennifer in her run for city council, right, in Gulfport. Nathan, it sounds like you have a challenging job. And I would think that might be an interesting conversation for us
Mhm.
to hear what you are doing in your work and how we collectively could practice behaviors that would support your work. So let me thank you for letting me tag on. So that's what we talked about, building on what we've already done right. Thanks for listening.
Martha, I'd love for you to share what you shared about encouraging others.
What I've seen is a a growth out in the community. And I think probably some extension of the 850 as well as our Sunshine Group in terms of talking together. Recently, a very large group met that was sponsored by the Tampa Bay Times and the Foundation for a Healthy St. Pete. There must have been 300 or 400 people in that audience on it. But other groups are having the same conversation. So I think what started with maybe some of the smaller groups is actually enlarged and we're having conversation. What I would like to ask, I didn't mention it earlier, but it's very important that we have the face-to-face communication. And I would encourage anytime that we have people actually turn their cameras on, unless they're having lunch or they're traveling or something like that. I really feel very strongly that that more active involvement of having being on camera is I feel like they're positively energized in what we're talking about rather than just passively listening. Important to be part of this conversation.
Great suggestion. By the way, I always encourage that too, unless you are eating lunch and you don't, or your dog's jumping in your lap and causing problems.
Right.
But outside of that, I do
Nathan,
think this. I hope we do get an opportunity at some point in time soon to do a collective we. It's a big state. It's hard to get everybody from wherever. We could try to come to a locale. I would love to. I'd love to have us all in a room together sometime and get together. But we'll continue to work on that. Right now, we're regionalizing it for the face to face. But that's a good thing. Anything else? Anything else? Anyone else on that one? Because we got a couple other questions. I need us to get into other rooms. to
okay,
talk.
but let's see if Nathan can.
Nathan, how you doing, brother?
Can you hear me now?
We
Yeah.
can. Great.
Hey, I've got all the Apple products on my desk right now between two phones, two laptops, and my earbuds, and I think something switched. So I'm sorry about that. So the position in the article well, talking about political speech and or potential polarizing, disparate views. The announcement of my position certainly saw dialogue going in very different directions. By background, I'm an educator and an attorney and a policy advisor, but I was just appointed by the mayor of the city of St. Petersburg as the city's LGBTQ liaison and coordinator. So that's a full-time position. We have a number of large public events that many folks might be aware of, both St. Pete Pride and Winter Pride, that have had tremendous economic impact in our region. But there's a lot happening. And so there's been a lot of discourse even just about the work in the last 2.5 weeks. So baptism by fire on my end. But it's what I have done for a long, long time. So if you didn't see the news, that loops everybody else in. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks, Lisa.
And thank you for getting your sound fixed. And
Technology
not let technology kill you because it drives me nuts. But
Not today.
yeah. All right, let's move to the next question. Listen, so here's the reality. Sometimes you got to look at what were some Russell, I'm sorry, I missed you, brother. You need to come on, let's talk to us.
I was just going to say, I thought much of this past year had been highly structured around a kind of expert setting where we had a central figure presenting, and they were wonderful presentations. And I'm hoping as we move into the next year, we have a lot more interactivity among us here, because I think that drives the relationships and actually drives understanding better. I mean, I enjoy seeing the sparks of insight that happen when people really can exchange dialogue and come to new understandings. And I'm really hoping we can see more of that in these calls. Thank you.
You have hit the nail on the head of the next question. But Nathan, I see your hand up. Did you have something you needed to add?
So I had another suggestion because as Russell said that, I just participated in a conversation at a chamber event that was done very differently. It was in person, but I think it might work in a virtual format. Instead of doing the usual panel of experts, the facilitator chose to create a circle of 6 chairs, I believe, and planted 3 folks in them, and there were 3 empty seats. And the idea was that we are our own panel of experts, right? So let's bring to the table what is top of mind right now. There was a general topic overview, and then anyone could get up and join the conversation and become a next speaker. And then we had to self-regulate to decide to step out of the conversation. And it went by so quickly. I'm not quite sure logistically how to do it virtually, but if we do ever do something in person, it might work beautifully. But borrow and steal that idea for any work you might be doing, but it really was brilliant. Thanks.
So take this conversation, move it into the rooms, and come back with better ways of doing what we've just done. So in other words, and again, nobody's going to be insulted here. We want to know, what are we all interested in hearing? It is good to get some experts. Yeah, I mean, they bring a lot of expertise. Some of them made full presentations. You got about 5 minutes to respond. I get it. And I wish we would have more time. In fact, Jennifer suggested, and we have started adding on the back of it, if you could join it, but a lot of you can't. So let's talk about this. So let's go in and what are some opportunities to do even better as we get a larger group of folks. But let's go into the rooms and talk about that. Again, be prepared to say, here's some better ideas that we could do. All right, here's some ideas I'd like. Let's go to the rooms. All right, everybody, coming back in. Need to move this along because we have one more question, and I really need to get to that question. So I'll start with your group, Lisa, and just tell us what we can do better.
Well, I have to say that all of my group agreed that they would like, as Bonnie said, to have some kind of listening sessions with conversational leadership and dialogue through words so that we can learn from each other and not try to convince each other of, why you voted incorrectly or why your stances are wrong. But if you guys want to know, you can call me and I'll tell you why you voted right. I'm just kidding. But they're open to having conversations, which I have to tell you, we were terrified of at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We're afraid. We don't want anybody to be like, oh, I'm never coming back to this group. They're a bunch of, Republicans or vice versa. And so, but it's wonderful that we've gotten to a place where, listen, I want to hear why you think that.
Mm-hmm.
And can we do that with respect and dignity and kindness and compassion and hear the heart and not necessarily the political stance?
Thank you, Lisa.
I would say from our group, that basically was echoed again, same thing. And it was taken sort of to the next level that Nathan mentioned to us when he was talking about, and sort of this round robin opportunity. We were talking about the technologies, but that the word I heard was, everybody on this call has some really level of expertise in their own community.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't just necessarily need to have an expert come in and lecture to us, but we need to set the environment where they can actually get feedback from us, because they ought to hear that. So that's exciting information to capture. And I believe we've matured to that point. I think that we're seeing we're all beginning, just like Lisa just finished saying, that there's a desire for us to say, wait a second, maybe you hadn't considered this, and we're putting that back into so we're going to look at that technology and how we could do some of that. Jennifer, your group.
We also echoed those sentiments. Additionally, Joe brought up a really great point of how can we get more people in this meeting? And so we talked about sponsoring posts, sending invites to convening groups that have similar missions, because we know, to Lisa's point earlier, we need people who will treat this space with the respect that all of you do. And not everybody joins spaces like this to listen and to dialogue. But I think there's certain groups like Sharon Joy's network group, or the Kiwanis clubs, or the Braver Angels, which, in groups like that do attract people who want to connect across difference, that we can send out monthly invites to. And then Bonnie asked, can we get a calendar of the whole year in Q1 so that we can send it out to our friends and say, here's what we're going to be talking about this year. If you're not there, you're going to miss out. And then Wayne said expand on the meditation group, which and really dive in there. We had a really great meeting this morning.
That's awesome. Al brought up to us around that same thing, Jennifer. Al brought up the fact that we probably ought to have something that everybody could have, something that hands somebody, or some literature. We've talked about that in our 850 group. And so I think we need to come up with something. It can be simple. It can be something that says, this is what we do. So you don't try to have to explain it. You just got it in a thumbnail sketch, and you can explain it, and then have an invite to them, but also utilize that to connect with some of the political leaders and so forth. So
yeah, and Steve brought up having each local advisory group. So if you're in my area, our group brings up, they each have a webinar that they plan themselves and that we rotate region to region, which I like democratized spaces. I like spaces where other people are contributing their creativity and intellectual and energetic creativity. So I think that is a great idea.
All right.
Steve, you have February. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah. By the way, fabulous. And all of this is being taken down. We've got all of this. And we do have an intention of giving you a full calendar for once we get into January maybe February, but we'll get all of that to you. All right. Last question. And I don't even know if we have time to get into the rooms. Yeah, let's make it. We'll go make this 2 minutes. Okay. Break it out into your rooms, but come back. You just already started answering. You guys are getting ahead of me. You're already answering the question. And the question is, what can we do to bring more people to? We've got a sense of community here already. All right. We're developing that. We're setting a system, an ecosystem of engagement, caring, and working together across different philosophies and ideas and party lines and so forth. How do we bring more people into this and still maintain this culture that we've developed? Not us. You guys developed this culture. How do we do better in getting more people into this? We ought to be the Sunshine 1000. I don't know if we can have 1,000, but we should be able to engage us. Put your thinking caps on, go to the room, come back, and let's talk about quickly how some things we could do to help expand this. All right, guys, we are all back in, it looks like. I will tell you, our group came up with quick but good suggestions. We went back to some ways of promoting but I think it was Wayne that basically said this: if we want to grow this organization, you grow it one-on-one, and that maybe everybody knows that monthly, find a new person to invite and bring them along, invite them in. Therefore, they're going to come in under your sort of your guidance and leadership, and they'll not want to embarrass you. They'll want to come in, but understand the culture that we're developing here to invite that. I love that idea. I think it's fantastic. Al and Wayne were both very forthcoming about that. And of course, Al once again talked about opportunities of providing good support material, whether we email it or whether we could text it or even have something in handout. So we want to get better on that. Great suggestions from our team.
Yeah.
So in addition to the handouts or the kit, as Steve called it, or an email outlining our mission, vision, value, history, purpose, Steve and Joe, a lot of folks mentioned that. Actually crafting, revisiting, having a mission, vision, and value, and doing the organizational development work so that we can see what our benchmarks are and how our actions contribute to fulfilling that mission. And I had shared with them that I had a conversation with Root Change with Beryl, and she was willing to come and do a retreat. And 2 of our members of our breakout group said that they would be interested, and I think it was 2, might have been 3, were interested and would be willing to help us shape the direction of firming up who we are, what we do, and why we do it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Beryl would be awesome. Lisa.
Yeah, she's willing to.
Yeah, go ahead. Our group was saying basically we need to be more specific in the invitation. We're not only say this is the speaker, because as everyone in our group said, they don't need more data. They can find that on the news. They can find that online. They're looking for understanding, connection, and somebody to listen and learn from them as well. So maybe the invitation be more like, this person's coming and come and be a part of the conversation. Kind of. Did I represent that well, Sharon, Joy? And yeah.
All right, guys.
Lisa, would you also focus on what Natasha was saying about trying to actively recruit younger participants to this group as well?
Yeah, Natasha, do you want to unmute yourself for a second?
Yeah, sure. I just was sharing that. Thank you, Lisa, for the opportunity. Just sharing that as a young professional, I find these monthly calls incredibly insightful and helpful in navigating, some of the things that we may deal with personally or professionally, and, encouraging more young folks to participate and be engaged, I think would be great. And I have been working on it, getting some young folks to join me. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to get folks from all generations and all areas of the state together. And I'd just love to see some more young folks.
Wait a second, Natasha. I don't think I understand. Are you saying we're not young? Is that what you're telling us?
Well,
Well,
I don't know about you,
saying
Kurt.
that I'm not young, Kurt. So if I'm not young,
We're not as young as
We're not as young
Natasha.
as we once were. Thank you for that. That's great. That's great feedback. Hey guys, this was valuable. This was real valuable to us. First of all, you're valuable. We think it's important. I want to bring our team together. We'll sit down and talk about this, about how we can implement this, but this was what we needed. We finished out an exciting year. Sharon Joy, you got
Thank
your
you.
hand up.
Yeah, it's still 2 o'clock. Quickly, anybody that's interested in launching Compassionate Florida, please send me an email. I just put it in the chat, but it's kleitch@verizon.net. This is something that we're very excited about. Cities of compassion all over Florida, counties, and indeed the entire state that practices the skills of compassion. Thank you for letting me announce it. It's January 9th, 10th in Clearwater.
Very good. Thank
Sharon
you.
Joy, I don't see it in the chat.
I just
Yeah.
put my email.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, if anybody wants any information, but we'll be sharing it. Thank you.
All right, we are at the time. It's 2 o'clock. Jennifer, I didn't know if you wanted to have an extended time or not, but the reality is this has been helpful. As always, you're very thoughtful in the way that you present stuff to us. We're very excited about what we've developed over the last couple of years, where we're going into 2026. So with this, we will get back with you. We're going to start looking. I mean, we've got some tangible solutions that I think some things we can work on, and good suggestions. And we'll try to get with the Carter Center to help us do all of these things. Let's put it in, if we can get some funds at some point in time, we have to work with the Carter Center on this. Maybe there's going to be an opportunity for a face-to-face with all of us. I'd love to hang out with you guys sometime. So,
And just to January 26th is our next webinar. It will be in-person /webinar at the Barack Obama Public Library in St. Pete with the Reverend Gary Mason, and that starts at 11 a.m. It will you can join for the whole thing, or we'll be like splicing it into like just when he talks about topics relevant to this. But the goal is to bring faith leaders and community leaders together to talk about the role of faith and community leaders in healing our communities, our families, and individuals through a myriad of ways. So we hope to see y'all at our next webinar, and it is intended to be interactive conversations, and it will be, if you come in person, it will be, I think, 11 to 1 or 11 to 2. So it's a longer event. Yeah.
It's on the 26th.
Yes, the 26th of January.
this will be the one that we're going. It'll be on a Monday. It's a Monday. So if you can put that in there. All right.
Anyway, Jennifer, I mean, is it going to be?
Yeah, there'll be an online portion, and it'll be recorded, Bonnie.
For those of us who can't be there in person,
Yes.
we'll be able to participate. Oh, make my day. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I hope you're getting our newsletter. I hope you're seeing what we do with that. You can always share that with people as well as we put it out there. All right, guys. Love you. Hope you have a great holiday. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And then we won't talk to you probably before, but happy New Year's, and let's go get them in 2026.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
God
Lisa.
bless you, everybody. Thanks.
All right. Thank you all.
Happy holidays.